Did you hear about the family getaway to the Bahamas next month? Sarah's voice dripped with feigned surprise through the phone. The words hit me like ice water. Mom said we're going. Mom, Dad, Brian, and I. Oh, and they need someone to watch the pets while we're gone. I bet Mom meant to ask you. There I stood in my kitchen, squeezing my mug so hard that I feared it might shatter. My name? Mitchell. I was 27, and at that moment I realized my family had planned a holiday paradise without even thinking to include me. The pain could have been bearable had I not stumbled upon this revelation during what began as an everyday chat with Sarah about our mother's upcoming birthday celebration. No, Sarah, I said, trying to steady the tremor in my voice. Mom hasn't mentioned anything about the Bahamas or pet sitting. Sarah chuckled lightly. Oh, you know how she is, probably just slipped her mind. Anyway, you're free, right? Perfect for watching Rocky and Max for the week. Mom was counting on you. You're the only one not coming. The omission loomed larger in my mind. The uninvited one, because they hadn't even thought to invite me. Memories of family dinners flooded back where no one dared let slip of this impending trip, stopping all whispers when I appeared. They seemed to craftily plot, ensuring the secret did not slip past their lips. Tales spun by subtle inquisition about my workload, even discerning interest in my love life from Dad, had me realizing they had all the while been paving the way to ensure my availability for their pet-sitting needs. When Mom finally rang that evening, I listened as she launched into what sounded like a well-rehearsed speech. Honey, can we ask for a favor? Bitterly, I preempted with, I suppose you need someone to watch the dogs while you're all soaking up sun in the Bahamas. A short pause confirmed it as she admitted, so Sarah did tell you. Yes, that's exactly it. Rocky can't cope in kennels, and Max requires his medication twice daily. We'd be so grateful just for 8 days. As she rattled on about their flight schedules and resort amenities, no conciliatory mention of invitation was made, no wistful or apologetic, maybe next time. Instead, it was all about the dogs, meals, medications, and favorite blankets. Once again, I was the family's foolproof fallback, the indomitable pillar of responsibility that never cracks or disrupts, predictable, self-sacrificing Lisa, who doesn't dream of her own needs. I muttered, I'll think about it. All the while opening my laptop to search for possible getaways that might let me escape not just geography, but years of a role I'd never sought to audition for. This pattern was writ large in my life's tapestry since Sarah snagged her spot at NYU, and our parents showcased their youngest with indulgent fanfare, a whole gala event for her. In contrast, my acceptance into Boston University, replete with a full scholarship, was met with diluted applause. My accolades had briefly graced their refrigerator, dethroned by Sarah's recitals as quickly as they were put up. Sarah was the golden girl, pretty, adventurous, glittering in every social arena, despite quitting NYU partway to find herself. Meanwhile, I slogged, balancing multiple jobs, graduated summa cum laude, and molded a promising career in marketing, only to remain ensnared in familial roles less glamorous and more practical. The honor? Being everyone's dependable second choice. That evening, after hanging up on Mom's unintentional guilt trip, I dove deep into the vortex of travel websites, feeling a rare spark of defiance flicker within me. The turquoise waters of Santorini flashed on the screen, an ethereal island I'd dreamt about since a college photography class. A twist of fate provided me with the perfect opportunity, a seat sale miraculously corresponding with my family's vacation timeframe. My cursor hovered over the Book Now button, hesitating briefly before a text from Sarah lit up my phone screen. Mom says you're acting weird about dog sitting. Don't make this difficult, Lisa. It's not like you have any saved-up vacation days. Come on, loosen up a little, would you? In reality, I had a full 3 weeks of vacation at my disposal, contrary to my family's assumptions that my life was devoid of excitement. They were blissfully unaware of my travel blog, which had slowly grown followers over the years. They'd dismissed it as another one of Lisa's little hobbies. Not long after Sarah's plea, the phone chimed with my father's gravelly voice. Lisa, princess, your mother's upset. Remember how poorly Rocky handled the kennel last time? I seized that moment, my opportunity to express the hurt I'd locked away. Did any of you ever think to invite me on this trip? The silence on the line was both deafening and telling. When Dad finally spoke, his words stumbled awkwardly. Uh, well, Sarah figured you couldn't get away from work. Plus, your mother, she's kind of specific with these plans. And, Brian's room is already, you know, I laughed, though there was no humor in it. Just like she planned for my graduation party? Oh, right, she was busy with Sarah's semester abroad emergency in Paris. My voice dripped with sarcasm and pain. That wasn't fair, Lisa. Your sister needed us for her journey. My eyes settled on the dreamlike landscapes of Santorini on my computer, and I felt something shift deep within, a desire to redefine the narrative I'd been assigned for far too long. Resolutely, I promised, I'll let you know about the dogs tomorrow. I disconnected the call and with a swift click, booked my flight to Greece. The next morning, awakening to a barrage of messages, I felt a newfound clarity. Mom's texts fluctuated from coaxing to commanding. Sarah's voicemails were patronizing, and even my dad chimed in with an overwrought email about how unreasonable I was being. I chose to keep my grand reveal for our weekly family dinner, a ritual they continued in the week before their big trip. After enduring endless chatter about the Bahamas under the warm glow of the chandelier, I seized a rare lull in the conversation. About those dates, I've made other plans. You'll need someone else to watch Rocky and Max. The clatter of Mom's fork breaking the silence echoed in the room. Her expression flickered between disbelief and outrage. What could be more important than helping family? My trip, I announced calmly, enjoying their stunned silence. I'm headed to Santorini for 8 days. The same time you'll be in the Bahamas. Sarah scoffed, trying to regain equilibrium. Lisa, you're joking, right? You aren't going to Greece. Wordlessly, I slid my confirmed travel itinerary across the table. But the dogs, the kennel's full, Mom stammered, a hint of desperation edging her words. Sounds like poor planning on your part, I countered, standing to leave. Maybe Brian can watch them since he's practically family now. But he's allergic, Sarah protested, a whine threading through her voice. I smirked, heading for the door. It seemed convenient for everyone else when it benefited them. I'm sure you'll figure it out, you always do when it matters, I said, leaving them in the silence of their own making. The paradigm was shifting, and I was finally stepping out of the shadow they'd so comfortably placed me in. Predictably, fallout followed my declaration of independence. Mom unleashed a full-scale guilt campaign woven through interminable phone calls and sympathetic relatives. Aunt Carol's voice crooned over the phone, chiding me for my perceived selfishness. Cousin Rachel inundated my inbox with messages extolling family loyalty. Even Grandma, lacking a full grasp of the issue, chimed in her 2 cents. As expected, Sarah's approach was more direct. She turned up at my apartment, storming inside without a "by your leave." "You're only doing this out of spite, Lisa. This isn't you. You've always been the responsible one," she exclaimed. "The responsible one?" I echoed, a bitter smile tugging at my lips. "You mean the convenient one? The one who drops everything when you need something?" She sank dramatically into my sofa, even now effortlessly poised, her frustration unable to dishevel her halo of blonde hair. "We didn't think you'd want to come to the Bahamas. You're always so busy with work." I crossed my arms, eyes fixed firmly on her. "Did any of you think to ask?" "No, but nothing," I interrupted. "You all assumed your conclusions about my life and even made plans around them. You were so certain of your script that you didn't even try to hide these plans. That's how little consideration you pay me." Sarah flushed, an unusual crack in her usually unfaltering composure. "Mom and Dad might have to cancel their trip if they can't find someone for the dogs, you know." "Well, that sounds unpleasant for you all?" "But that's your mess to handle," I replied, repeating one of Sarah's favorite lines back to her. "When did you become so cold?" she whispered, unsettlingly vulnerable. "Not cold, Sarah," I corrected. "Just finished being the family doormat." I took a breath, then brought up my travel blog, letting her see the results of hours spent writing and photographing over the past years. "See this? People follow me. They're interested in my experiences, my ideas. I am more than your backup plan." A miracle happened. I had Sarah's fleeting attention. As she examined the fruits of my labor, I observed a shift from dismissiveness to surprise. "Wow, these photos are really good. When did you get into all of this?" she asked, her tone lacking its usual sardonic slant. "About 3 years ago, though no one seemed to notice." Family dinner that week felt like stepping into an emotional minefield. My mom had laid out the elaborate dog care regime with remarkable precision, illustrating their needs with Rocky's special food, Max's meticulous medicine schedule, even their favorite toys. A kennel can't cater to these particulars, she directed pointedly at me. With careful nonchalance, I served myself more potatoes. They absolutely will. That's their job, I replied, emphasizing the finality of my statement. Dad shifted gears, appealing to pragmatism. Princess, we'll pay. Cover your trouble for watching them. I shot down the offer. My Greece tickets cost over $3,000, Dad. Non-refundable. Sarah, unusually quiet, broke the tension by revealing, I browsed Lisa's blog last week. Did you know she has over 20,000 followers? Mom barely picked up her head, dismissed by habit. How nice, dear. About Rocky. No, really. Look at her photos from Montreal, Sarah interrupted, her voice tinged with genuine admiration as she shared my website. Beside her, something changed. For the first time in forever, Mom's gaze found me. Not through me or around me, but actually focused on me. You've been to Montreal? An opening appeared. One of exchanging reality of the distance that had grown between us over their insouciance. I've traveled, yes. I take short trips, writing and photographing them. There are people who listen. Clarity dawned slowly, a mixture of surprise and dawning realization cresting over their faces. Dad stared at my photos, agape. Lisa, these pictures, they are professional quality. Why didn't you tell us? I did, I responded, setting my fork down. 3 Thanksgivings ago when you'd switched the subject to Sarah's new yoga certification? Yes, it was the beginning of them seeing me. Not ideal, not everything, but a shift significant enough to light a path to something better. But Mom refocused to the immediate task. We still need someone for the dogs. I'm going to Greece, I restated, and with a firmer edge I continued. Perhaps it's time to understand what it's like not to have me as your backup plan. The closer my departure grew, the more my family began their familiar dance through the 5 stages of grief. Mom crossed from denial straight into anger, calling me a neglectful daughter. Dad tried his hand at bargaining, suggesting alternatives for a more convenient Greece trip later. And Sarah? She skipped to acceptance, her voice just short of a whisper. Maybe we should have included you. 2 days before my flight, Mom made one last appeal, arriving unannounced with stacks of old photo albums in hand. Photos of me diligently caring for Sarah's dog when she had jetted off to Europe. Snapshots of pets I'd looked after since childhood, worn reminders of the responsible one they'd labeled me as. See how good you've always been with animals, she commented, flipping through pages at the kitchen table. Remember nursing Sarah's hamster back to health in high school? I nodded. I do. I also missed my friend Jamie's sweet 16 to do that. Sarah was at the beach, remember? That was different. You didn't mind back then. No, Mom, I did mind. I just wasn't allowed to speak up. Deflecting, she closed the album with a decisive snap. Well, I hope you're happy. We had to cancel our trip. No one's free to look after them this short notice. I let a moment of silence stretch deliberately before I revealed, I've arranged something. Opening my laptop, I showed her the screen with a message from Mrs. Chen, our neighborhood's pet-loving retiree. She had agreed to mind Rocky and Max for a fair fee. But why didn't you say this sooner? Mom blurted, visibly torn between relief and irritation. Because, Mom, I replied gently. For once, I wanted you to experience what it feels like not to have me waiting in the wings. To know what it's like when someone steps out and prioritizes their dreams. She frowned slightly. That sounds rather petty. No, it's rather human, I responded. And maybe, just maybe, next time you plan a vacation, you'll remember to include both your daughters. The day of my flight dawned bright with possibilities. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with notifications. For the first time, Mom had tagged me on social media, sharing a picture from my blog with a heartfelt caption. She spoke of her pride in her talented daughter and anticipation for my Greek photos. Mom's adding a spin for her circle, Sarah texted, ever aware of the tightrope of appearances. She's telling everyone she helped plan this trip. Hardly surprising, given Mom's reverence for image, a travel-savvy daughter doubled as perfect dinner party conversation. Yet beneath my habitually skeptical eye, It felt like the beginnings of something I chose to welcome. Dad's visit before my departure offered a rendition of fatherly awkwardness, as he tried to hand me a camera lens I'd been eyeing for months. I read your blog, Princess. If you'll accept, maybe you can use this while you're over there. Though part of me resisted his belated support, I decided to meet him halfway. Gratitude shined through as I took the gift. Thanks, Dad. Want to see what I'm planning to capture? Unexpectedly, he lingered, absorbed in my explanations of imagery and lighting. Before leaving, Dad confessed, I backed out of the Bahamas trip. Figured I'd cover the dog detail. Dad, you didn't need to, I began. I did, he interrupted. Besides, someone needs to see those Greece photos of yours in real time. Maybe you could teach me to comment on this thing? When I boarded my flight, my heart was a hodgepodge of excitement and trepidation. A text from Sarah chimed with amusement. Photos better be stunning, sis. You earned this. My dad's message was short but profound. Posted my first comment today. Hope I did it right. Take care of yourself out there, not just the camera. All right? Love, Dad. A new chapter unfolded as I stepped off the plane into Greece, a place whispered of in my dreams. Santorini was nothing short of the idyllic paradise I imagined, as if the island had been waiting to greet a kindred soul. Every dawn, its sunrises painted brushstroke skies above churches domed in azure. From bustling cobblestone streets to the lull of the shore, my days passed in a blend of photography and introspection. The blog sphere lit up with my daily tales and captured moments. Yet, it was the reaction from my family that brought the greatest surprise. Where Dad previously grappled with technology, remarks like spectacular sunset grew thoughtful and insightful. His each observation spoken like a proud exploration, Sarah, true to form, began sharing my posts, obliterating old competitiveness with genuine pride in her sister. Yet, Mom's efforts to reconnect were more a gentle tide than a full embrace. She found novel ways to critique. One late afternoon, after yet another sunset post, I received a call from Mrs. Chen. Your mother's visited several times today, she noted, a smile embedded in her words. Seems she's keen on learning the ropes. Embarrassed, I started, I'm really sorry, Miss Chen. But she cut me off with warmth. No need for that. I've found her inquiries quite charming. It keeps things interesting. By my 5th day exploring, Dad shared something startling. Mom had rebooked herself alone at a hotel nearby, not enjoying the Bahamas knowing strangers watched her dogs. Sweet validation of a grown but tender realization graced me. Old habits perished hard, disguised in often clumsy attempts at love. Rather than surrender to familial guilt or history's siren song, I leaned into newfound freedom. My posts wove themes of empowerment and challenging family molds. Responses were overwhelming. People resonated with my story and spread its reach. Local publications reached out, featuring my Greek sojourn in vivid spreads. From across an ocean, Sarah called, revealing that her students were asking when I'd return to host a photography seminar at her studio. Her voice lighter, she confessed, all these years I thought I was the daring one. Turns out the real adventurer was here the whole time. On my final evening in Greece, poised on my hotel balcony, I received a message from Mom. Heart raced as I opened it to see a photo. My former bedroom, now converted to her office, decked with framed prints of my work. Her sincerity brushed through with, your work deserves more than a mere repost. She went further, words typed slowly, perhaps with difficulty. I never realized how much we'd overlooked your dreams over the years. We've been thinking, or trying, at least, to show you your place has always been valued. Images of Rocky and Max filtered in from Mrs. Chen, each one a testament to their contentment, unshadowed by fretful family lore. The last showed Dad teaching her how to follow my blog, both figures overwhelmingly at ease. Sarah's posts from the Bahama beaches held new depth, each a composition asking questions I'd never known she could consider. Trying to capture the world through Lisa's lens, she mused. Not quite there yet, but maybe one day. In the span of 8 brief days, a shift occurred. Compromise and gratitude peppered our exchanges. They were still flawed, with frayed edges of bias and old habits. Yet hope was seeding, nurtured on willingness to perceive and embrace transformation. Thanksgiving loomed large on the horizon. marked by novel traditions within familial bonds. Turkey, cranberries, and now snippets of the world as I've painted it filled picture frames along the hallway amongst past holiday portraits. "We have an announcement," Mom declared over dinner, attention perfectly poised. "We're planning another family trip." My instinct braced for the exclusion's tinder, yet was doused swiftly as Sarah spoke. "Lisa, we want you front and center for planning this one. Your blog's feedback has been amazing. We'd trust no one else." "Italy," Dad added, pulling forth a stack of brochures. "Photography tours. Thought perhaps you could give us all a lesson. Less selfies, more memories." Mom chimed, a small smile curling her lips as if newly minted. "Oh, and Mrs. Chen? She's already booked to mind the pets? Ahead of time?" Amidst their eagerness and open wounds newly healing, I scanned the table. Genuine hope met each gaze fixing upon me. Connections rekindled, stories waiting for lines to etch them. "Italy sounds perfect," I agreed, mapping out plans in my mind. "But this round? Let me manage the itinerary." Dad chuckled softly. "Wouldn't have it any other way, expert." Realigned, together, the stripes of their love, long faded in certainty, were turning vibrant again. Months rolled by in a rhythmic hum, defining a new normal within our family mosaic. The holiday season was upon us, presenting a backdrop of fresh beginnings and changes spun from the tapestry of our lived experiences. The air carried the scent of pine and spices, and as we gathered around the dining table, the ambiance was tinged with an air of possibility rather than expectation. "Lisa, I got a sneak peek at your itinerary for Italy," Sarah admitted, casting a conspiratorial wink my way from across the platter laden with holiday delicacies. Her newfound respect was evident, glimmering in moments like these where she sought my input, offering the sense of kinship I'd always craved. I smiled back, satisfaction warming my heart. "Only a preview, though. You'll enjoy the surprises once we're there." My response was layered with affection and quiet triumph, not as the family's underdog, but as a prized confidant. True to prior promises, roles had begun to shift. My parents had actively engaged in planning discussions, acknowledging and valuing the perspectives I brought. Dad, ever the pragmatist, busied himself researching ways to maximize the adventure. "Your mother and I even read up on photography techniques," he said one day, holding a book slightly dog-eared from use. Mom's voice threaded through our conversations with warmth and patience, recalling glimpses of childhood embedded with her gentle guidance, or moments I'd overlooked, yet remained kindling. She displayed curious acceptance, an openness not brandished before. And as her emotions softened, so did her manner. The strength in her love, seemingly redirected to what genuinely mattered. In this setting, I caught myself reminiscing and contemplating the journey that had led me here. Stepping away and casting light on uncharted arenas had braved a reality different from those who had walked before me. I'd carved a path of renewal for both myself and a family accustomed to viewing my choices through narrow lenses. Surprising none more than myself, I welcomed this newfound understanding between us. Our departure day arrived draped in muted excitement. The sun's gentle glow ushered a mellow warmth, thawing residues of tension in the air. Tears of shared pride brimmed yet did not fall, nestled in an embrace of bittersweet beginnings. Sarah, ebullient, dragged our luggage into the awaiting van. Her energy, infectious and oddly comforting, offered limitless affirmation of what lay ahead. The years had diluted any earlier pangs of rivalry into the blandest taste of what life hadn't been. The sour residue now replaced with camaraderie. Dad enveloped us with his newfound lens and genuine spirit, now an instrument of discovery rather than obligation. And in Mom, I found grace redefined. Through our moments of planning and the dog care preparations entrusted to Mrs. Chen without debate, she'd embarked on evolving the meaningful from the mundane. Standing there, suitcase in hand, the world beckoned with familiar whispers of unknown destinations. Memories flickered, and joy unfolded its petals, promoting new life from old soil. Our departure was no longer an escape nor an extension of purgatorial rests, but a step into brighter tomorrows. As we boarded, Italy stretched forth like a canvas hungry for color. The adventure we shared was painted in vibrant hues neither alone had seen, blossoming brazenly into the future. I settled into my seat, peering out the window as we ascended into the clouds. Below, the world unfurled, vast and inviting. In my heart, there blossomed an intuitive appreciation, a cherished panorama born from both growth and shared humility. This narrative, joyfully met at crossroads long sought, had only just begun. Beneath the plane's soft hum, conversation bubbled between us. Dreams chased dreams, unbounded by roles long outdated. It seemed this journey, both actual and metaphorical, had transcended perspectives and seamlessly intertwined disparate paths. In time, in sharing possibilities and exploring potential, we each became architects of a new horizon, a familial portrait now redefined, lovingly etched into our collective voyage. Indeed, there was much more to come, a story brimming with unforeseen chapters and dreams alight with infinite possibility.